Hey guys, I'm Josh. Welcome to Council FTR, first time reads. This week we're going to be looking at Fantastic Four #1.
Black is like the brightest day. Where are the heroes? As soon as they get here, everything will be alright. I need a hero. Someone superhuman who can come and save my life. Crisis after crisis.
There's absolutely nothing to read. Absolutely nothing to read. Jesus.
Hey Joey,
What?
looking for something to read?
Yeah. You got something?
Yeah, I might have something here for you.
What do you got?
Fantastic Four #1. What do you think about reading that?
You called me about that like 2 a.m. last night. You don't remember that?
I'm supposed to give that away. That's like the magic of the video, Joey.
Oh. Well, yeah, I would like to read it.
Well, it's your lucky day. I came prepared.
It's a collectible, bud.
So Joey sat down and read The Fantastic Four. What a book. Shocking, awe, amazement. Joey didn't realize what greatness had been in this book. Good thing Joshua came along and showed him this great Marvel masterpiece. Now Joseph was ready to move forward with the knowledge of the world's greatest comic magazine, The Fantastic Four.
All right, Joey, so you've read Fantastic Four #1. You took a trip to the past, 1961, summer of 1961.
Wow.
And so what'd you think?
It was great. It was really cool. It definitely felt like I was reading a book from then, and just a lot of charm. I was telling you before, Kirby's art still holds up.
Right.
It still holds up. I don't know what it and you said this was like pre him going nuts too, right? Like Galactus and stuff like that.
I mean, this is still like subdued because like as he got further along in the 60s in general in Marvel and especially in Fantastic Four, there were less panels, but the panels, like what was happening in those panels, was huge.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, almost every panel was like a splash page. But this is more, just a little more subdued. It's still dynamic, but it's not that. Like when you think of Kirby with like the big hands and the exaggerated features, that's still not quite there yet. But you're getting there now. I mean, one thing I was curious about, like, you know, when you were reading it, I mean, like again, this was like 1961, right? So keep in mind, in real life, we're still in the space race with the Russians.
Yes.
So that's very much like a big part of what's going on here.
It's the reason why they went up there without as much information.
Right.
They wanted to be before the Soviets.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I mean, I think that's the thing with like 60s Marvel in general is it's all very driven by like what's going on in the real world. That was the kind of the difference between Marvel and DC. DC was very fantastical, very almost like fairy tales.
Right.
When Marvel was like, this is, to take a phrase that they use is it's the world outside your window, and that's kind of what it's been. The other thing is that like, and I don't know like if you picked up on it or not when you're reading it, but you know the whole point of Fantastic Four, this was like the first Marvel comic essentially.
Okay.
All right, and so because what happened was that DC had just done Justice League, the first issue of Justice League of America, and that was a huge seller. So Stan Lee's boss, who was his relative of his, came to him and said, "We need to do something similar." So I think a lot of people think that Avengers is like the answer to Justice League. In reality, it's Fantastic Four is actually because it was their first. It was really their first Marvel heroes, even though they had other characters from World War II, but Marvel didn't exist. This is the beginning of the Marvel universe, and this is Marvel's answer to DC coming back with superheroes at the beginning of the Silver Age. Yeah. So
I see. I mean, it makes sense. It makes sense how every power is so, like, every power that the Fantastic Four has is kind of up to 11. Like, it's like, this is a superhero.
right.
This guy can do things that nobody should be able to do, and it's like almost emphasizing it with these characters.
There's a lot of focus in those, especially the early pages of like, look what this guy can do, and that's it. And it's almost like it's scary.
It is scary because as they're being introduced, even though they're just being introduced and nothing's happening, everything around them is being destroyed. So like
they're monsters.
Yeah, they're freaking monsters. Like the Thing, he's just like he goes into like this clothing store for bigger men. He's like, hey, listen, we can't find anything that fits you. And he's like, hey, this is my problem. Yeah. Oh, hold on, the Fantastic Four needs me. And he goes out the door. He comes in, but he can't fit, so he breaks the door. So I don't know how he got in without breaking the door. And it's the same thing with Johnny. The car he's in, he ends up melting it.
Right.
Going,
exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, there's just, they really wanted to show how amazing these characters' powers were, and you know what I mean? Like, even for someone as like Sue, she's just invisible, but she's like scaring the crap out of people, like her taxi driver and everything.
Right. And again, that comes back to them, like, again, these are essentially monsters as superheroes,
right?
Because that's what Marvel was doing in the 50s and then into the 60s, where because that's all they could do, because they couldn't do superheroes because of the comics code. So at a certain point, once they were able to do superheroes again, or had the drive to do superheroes, it was like, well, we're just going to do what they had been doing,
right?
And just take monsters and make them as superheroes. So this was their team. This was their answer to Justice League. As opposed to taking Superman back, they had
I
Superman,
never
Batman,
knew that. That's really interesting.
and that's what they did here. They were just a team of monsters. They don't even get their costumes until issue 3.
Wow.
So it's very that superhero element, like the traditional superhero element, doesn't come in right away. It's very like monster sci-fi.
And speaking of traditional, I mean, even the villain, the Mole Man, he's you feel for him. You know what I mean? That's not very traditional. Usually, I mean, I can imagine, like, even back in the day, if there's a bad guy, it's just a bad guy.
Right.
You know what I mean? The Mole Man, you're just kind of like, that sucks. Like, poor guy.
Yeah, he's just out there on his island or whatever. Right, yeah. It's
because he looks weird.
Right.
Like he couldn't, he's just like, screw this, I'm going to make friends with monsters, I guess.
In an interesting way, it's as much of a precursor to X-Men.
Right.
As it is to anything, because these were the outcasts, these were the freaks.
Right.
It's interesting, but I think I've always really liked that origin story for Fantastic Four. I mean, they've done it so many different times now. I mean, between the movies and the cartoons and of course, we're looking at this is the Penguin Classics hardcover that we're reading, but I have this thing reprinted
a lot,
multiple ways. I have different omnibuses, omnibuy, whatever. But I've just collected like a bunch of them. Like, this is like a digest from the 70s that a lot of people remember, the pocket books. I grabbed this off eBay a few months ago. These are recent Mighty Marvel Masterworks, the digest, like anime or manga size. These are really popular. These are really cool. I like these. And then we had this big boy. This massive reprint this is more like a conversation piece than anything. But I think it's interesting because I think this is the birth of the Marvel universe, and I think that's why it gets so much like attention. I mean, I don't know, like how you felt about it, like reading it, but I see, like, again, we're talking about like X-Men and all this stuff. Like, there's so much DNA of Marvel in those in that story. That's true, and it goes past the art. Right. Like, even, because, you think of Marvel, one of the first things you do is think of Jack Kirby. Of course. And I will say, like, as soon as my eyes touched the book, it really did feel that way. It's just like, this is Marvel. It didn't feel like, I don't know, it's like I said about Kirby, it didn't feel dated. It just felt like Timeless.
beautiful. Yeah, timeless.
It's timeless.
It's a very timeless book, and I don't know. It's actually now I'm looking at it. I just realized, yeah, they don't even have their outfits.
Yeah, no.
They just have street clothes on.
And the thing again, he's not even fully formed.
Yeah, that too. Yeah,
he's lumpy.
He's lumpy.
He's not all rocky like he becomes later. You know.
Yeah, very true.
It's everything is a very proto stage.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And Mole Man is good with a bow staff.
Yeah, right. He's got skills.
He's got skills.
He's an interesting.
Pretty impressive.
He's another character that, I mean, you think about it, there's like no element in here that hasn't stuck around.
Right.
You know what I mean? There's nothing in here that hasn't been used in a million Marvel comic books since. So that influence kind of just resonates, through history, through Fantastic Four, but just in the rest of the Marvel universe, in Marvel Comics.
Absolutely.
So.
Yeah, this was incredible. Thank you for suggesting this. This was a really good read.
Yeah, man.
And I didn't know all that stuff about them. That this is their answer, being the answer for the Avengers. It's just like it puts more in my head. I've always respected the Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah,
That's huge.
I think that gets kind of lost in time a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's cool. Well, man, listen. Hey, I'm glad you had fun reading it.
Yeah.
And
definitely for sure.
Hey guys, I'm Josh. This is Joey. Thanks for joining us for the first episode of Council FTR. Hope you join us next time.
Black is like the brightest day. Where are